This is part 7 of renovating a Stuart 5A twin steam engine, general reassembly and fitting the cylinder drain taps. The first two parts to go back on the engine are the two pieces of steel that form the outer cylinder cladding. And here you see me, very carefully, without trying to drop any of the screws on the floor, screwing the cladding back into place. This is quite fiddly and quite difficult to align the holes. So that's one side done. I'm turning the engine round now and doing the other side. This one was particularly difficult to align, and I don't know why really, because everything's quite a good fit. So once all the bolts are in place, it's time to fit the cylinder covers. This steam engine is very well made, machined obviously by an experienced engineer. So the cylinder covers will fit in any position, and believe me, this is not often the case. The cylinder cover is held in place with some 2BA bolts. Now these vary on 5As, some are 3/16 by whatever threads per inch, and some are 2BA. And if anybody's curious, BA stands for British Association. They're not used much now, and they're getting quite expensive. I should really go over to metric, but a lot of the engines I work on are already threaded in imperial sizes. The way the holes are arranged in a cylinder cover of a Stuart 5A seems to be a little bit odd. Obviously they're equidistant and they look good, but these two that I'm fitting only go down a very short way into the cylinder itself, because immediately below that is the main inlet exhaust port for the steam. I thought this may have been peculiar to this engine alone, but yesterday another 5A came in for a complete rebuild, and that was exactly the same. So I've now tightened down all the small 2BA bolts, been very careful not to shear any of them off, and now it's time to fit the plug in the top. A while back a viewer wrote in and suggested that I put fancy oilers on the top of the engine, but I can't really do this because it's not in the budget of the rebuild, and making some of these oilers is quite a difficult job. Each of the oilers normally have 2 taper plug cocks in, so you can imagine making 2 of these would take quite a lot of time. As you can see at the moment, I'm refitting all the oil piping. Quite impressive, this oil system. It lubricates every part of the engine, apart from maybe the big end. Lubrication of the big end on a steam engine is generally a bit of a problem. I've seen some weird and wonderful ways of doing it, with like a little tongue that touches it as it goes round and drops a little bit of oil in there. But the best way I've seen of lubricating the big end on a Stuart 5A is on a commercially produced 5A crankshaft, where there is a drilling from the bearing journal at the side, all the way through at an angle to the big end. It's very clever, and it's not something I would like to do. It's a very fine hole and you need a very long drill. This job, on the other hand, is very simple. These are commercially made steam taps made by a friend of mine in Wakefield. He's a trade supplier. If you want some of them, I can recommend going to Blackgates Engineering, as I generally always recommend them. These are standard steam taps, and the thread on the inlet is 5/16 by 32. I need it to be 1/4 by 40 so that it goes into the cylinder. So it's a simple job of removing the end, machining one side and threading it 1/4 by 40, and then they screw into the cylinder, as you can see here. That's it for now. We're nearly there on this series, by the way. There's only really the mounting to make, and maybe a tiny bit of painting for good measure. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful.